Of course, now it's immediately, what is this? Get away from me. Don't do that. What up, y'all? It's a man, Manny Faces. One time for hip-hop can save America. One time for y'all for checking in. Peace and love. I know now I started a video with this loud ass noise and I apologize for that. That's not good etiquette for online videoing. Just fixing some things. You know, the show before the show. We got to let some people trickle in. You're checking out the world's most enlightening hip-hop live stream. I call it that, but, you know, you could argue with me if you want. I think it's pretty accurate. Waiting for people to trickle in. This is a weekly live stream show, 9 p.m. Mondays, Eastern Time. I am out of the Atlanta metropolitan area. Shouts to everyone in the A. Shouts to my people back in New York. A lot of folks know me from my escapades up in New York. Peace to the people in the Bronx. Up in the Bronx where the people are fresh. There was a shooting in the subway, something wild up there. I know this feeds into all the stereotypes about crime in New York City, but it's actually, you know, just these things happen. So, but thoughts and love and all that good stuff to my people in New York. And if you're tuning in on the replay, appreciate you for checking in. We have a good show tonight, hip hop and youth empowerment and activism and politics with Dr. Adia Winfrey. She's a author of a great curriculum program and has put together some great work in the field of youth empowerment, psychology, politics and activism. And there's a wonderful dynamic person, ran for Congress as well, and is leading now some work in the Selma, Alabama area that have to do with hip hop and social justice and working out, you know, with the community and all the good things that we love to talk about here on the world's most enlightening hip hop live stream. So without further ado, why don't we get into the opening, which is super dope, and then we'll talk to the people. You can hit me up in the comments and we'll have a chat for a while about some hip hop news. It isn't about dumb-ish. And then we'll get to it. And let's go. It goes a little something like this. Hit it.
Manny Faces.
You sick for this one. Sick for this one. Sick for this one.
The thing about hip-hop today is it's smart. It's insightful. The way that they can communicate a complex message in a very short space is remarkable. And a lot of these kids, they're not going to be reading the New York Times. That's not how they're getting their information.
My hip-hop will rock and shock the nation. Hip-hop culture is more than music.
Peace to you and speak the truth. Show 'em what peace can do when there reach for you.
My hip-hop will rock and shock the nation. Rap is something you do. Hip-hop is something you live.
So hip-hop didn't invent anything, but hip-hop reinvented everything.
This is Baby Girl Faces. And this episode is brought to you by
Didi. We wrote graffiti on the bus. Check it out. If you want to support this show, maybe you know me and you've seen the show and you're like, oh my God, of course. Why haven't I done this already? Remind me again, Manny, how I can do this. There's where you can go, patreon.com/Manny Faces. If you are just tuning in for the first time, you're like, what the hell is this? Why would I give you my money? That's ridiculous. Just wait. Just give me a little time and we'll see if it's worth, a couple dollars a month. It's pretty dope. Shouts also, they're not named in that video. I've got to update it. And of course, if you contribute, you get your name in that video as well. But also Kath, Morgan, Patrick, and Chris J are supporters of the show. And I thank you very much. You can get information on some of the things that they do, if you're a supporter, through a great newsletter that I have developed and I send out on the semi-regular. I owe y'all one. I know I do. And it's called, what do I do here? I'm getting it. I'm getting there. It's called Words I Manifest. It's a free Substack newsletter. Please, if you're here watching this, or you're interested in ways that hip hop can be used to uplift humanity and improve society, not just the entertainment value, which is fine. We love entertainment. We love hip hop. But the music and culture can be used to uplift humanity. If you like that sort of thing, I share information like that in the free newsletter. I'm going to put the link in the comments. It's Manny Faces www.substack.com. You can subscribe for free and you get all kind of updates on cool news stories, cool things that are happening maybe in your location, events and such, conferences, especially if you're sort of, I know a lot of academics and educational folks watch this show, stuff like that. So you might want to check that out. Again, it's free and it's worth doing. So that's housekeeping, I guess, right? I see why that keeps coming up. All right. And that's it. So tonight, once again, I have a great guest coming up. Now, here's the thing. Stick with me for a little while. Like the thumb, give me a thumbs up, share this. Make sure you subscribe to the channel just to make sure that we get some other folks involved. Hit me in the comments, say hi, let me know you're chilling, watching the show. We're all recovering from Super Bowl Sunday, of course, getting back to real life. So I understand yesterday might have been a long day. I appreciate you for giving me your eyes, ears, and attention on this. We got some good stories to share with you as well about cool things that are happening in the world of hip hop outside of just entertainment. Although we had some entertainment stuff to talk about. We did have a little Super Bowl action yesterday. There was some hip hop represented on the world's biggest stage. You know what I mean? So we had some of that. We had that. I don't know if you watched the Super Bowl, if you partook in it. I had no dog in the race. I don't normally watch football. I watched it and it was a fine game. Seemed like very exciting and, a good game if you're going to just watch a game, like one game a year. And I guess that's how they should be, right? Anyway, shouts to Natalie Crew, one of my day ones, checking in from Cali. Beautiful Cali, we're the home of the earthquakes. I think y'all got some kind of earthquake activity happening out there. Hope it's not near you and I hope everyone's okay. I just saw it flashing across my screen, so I don't know exactly what's happening, but earthquakes are cool. I haven't been to Cali since last year when we went for the global conference on hip-hop education, and we were at Cal State Long Beach, and it was a beautiful time out in California. I've been out there a couple of times, and I would love to come back. So yeah, if you find a way to get me out there, damn it. But shouts to you, Natalie. Hope you're well. So yeah, once again, we had some hip hop in the Super Bowl. There was a lot of talk about the music and the performance. Of course, Usher did his thing. If you're, familiar with Usher, then you know that he's quite a performer. I thought it was pretty well done. There was some nitpicking here and there, but I thought it was actually a really commanding performance. I thought that, of course, Atlanta, where I now reside, was represented quite well, as you'll know, from folks like Jermaine Dupri showing up in his outfit, and you had Ludacris rocking, special appearances, all that. We had Alicia Keys drop in, obviously a hip hop minded folk artists dropping in and doing their renditions, and things may have started off on an interesting note, but I thought all in all the performances were great. It was really cool. I enjoyed it. I think most people, generally speaking, from the culture, enjoyed it. So, it is what it is. But I kind of liked it. Once again, stick around for my guest tonight. Dr. Adia Winfrey will be coming in. She's a former congressional candidate, U.S. Congress. She's also the author of H.Y.P.E, which is Healing Young People Through Empowerment. It's a curriculum series. It's also a movement. It's a mind state, a state of mind. And she's done some really great work with young people, creating the hip-hop empowerment model we always talk about on the show. As you know me, you know what we do. Ways that we can improve society through hip-hop. And one of the ways that we can do that is by working with the youth. And there's great ways to work with the youth to incorporate, hip-hop ideas into how we connect with them and how we help them, connect with themselves and connect with each other. So that's going to be dope. That's coming up. Now, I had another guest. This was going to be our first 2-guest show. We're going to have 2 guests tonight. We were going to have them, and it didn't work. The first one there was a scheduling thing, and I won't tell you who it is, but I mentioned it before, but he'll be back. He's going to reschedule. It's no problem. Really dope dude that operates. I'll tell you, it's Dr. Tony Keith, and he's dope in a lot of different fields in hip hop education, working with young people. Also a poet, and got a book coming out. So it would have been a great discussion, and it's just going to come back another time. So don't worry about that. However, that was the 9:30 spot. The 10 o'clock spot is Dr. Winfrey, Dr. Dia, as she is affectionately known. So stick around for that if you're watching live. I did tell her that if she wanted to, she could come on earlier, and I don't know if that message was received or not, so maybe we'll see her a little bit earlier. But whatever, I got enough stuff to talk about. I do know how to talk. Please tell me in the chat, of course, feel free to interject at any time and tell me might be on your hip hop mind. Natalie, don't tell me about international hip hop. No, actually, that's funny. We're going to go into that. I'm finding a way to weave all that into the mix. Emil yells at me like you do. And of course, I always want to make sure that people know that it's not just hip hop could save America, hip hop could save the world. So we're going to get into that too. But tell me what else might be on your hip hop mind. I'm always willing to discuss random topics while we get into the topics of the day. Just a quick reminder, if you're watching this live or you're watching on the replay, still time. Why does it do that? That's weird. That's not what I'm showing you right now. Anyway, I'm still trying to work on the technology here. It really looks good. Look how cool and flashy it is. When I get it right, it works. So once again, the Hip Hop Youth Research and Activism Conference is happening at Fordham University in the Bronx, right? Yeah, that's in the Bronx. March 14th, Saturday, March 14th. This again is a conference run by young people, generally first year college, second year college students, early college. And they run the conference. They decide who's presenting and who's performing and doing all the things. And I mention it because I'm a part of it. So I don't say I'm obligated to mention it, but I've been a mentor for many, many years. And I just love how, they're able to incorporate young people into hip hop, again, from a different level. I like to say it's sort of hip hop culture, like elevated, right? We want to move forward and think how we can do things and improve society and do these things and get young people involved at an early age so that they know that this is something they can do. They can bring their love for hip hop into the activism space or a research institute. There's a lot of work to be done, culturally and sociologically and anthropologically that have to do with hip hop. And these young people are amazing. And I just want you to know about it. So maybe you're a, I don't know, an educator of some kind. It's cool to be in those spaces, but maybe you're an artist and you want to learn about, hey, how can I start, I don't know, leveraging my artistry to do more, right? And one of the ways we've talked about is to be a teaching artist or being a mentor artist or being an artist that works with educators so that we could bridge that gap so that it's not just educators educating on the culture, it's culture educating on the culture. You know what I'm saying? Like we got to get in those spaces so that we're not left out and the ivory tower folk, decide and determine the narrative of all the things happening. Like we have to be cautious about that stuff. The one way to do that is if you're an authentic representative of the culture is to go into those spaces, stick your nose in those spaces and be like, yo, what are y'all doing? How can I get involved? How can I be a part of this? And one place to do that, which welcomes this, is the Hip Hop Youth Research and Activism Conference. That's in New York. So Google it. I'm not going to type everything in the chat because then I look stupid like putting it in. I don't like doing that. So you can find it. The Hip Hop Youth and Research and Activism Conference, HHYRA. They're on Instagram at HHYRA Conference, and you can find them. Now, also happening later this season, similarly, up at the Harvard Graduate School of Education, again, a wonderful space curated by folks like Aisha Upchurch. I think Justice Lopez is up in there now helping with this. This is another space where these are traditional legacy institutions that are welcoming to the idea of hip hop. But I will tell you that even though they have this conference now for the 8th annual Can't Stop Hip Hop Conference, that Harvard may not be 100% understanding of the cultural nuances of hip hop. And we have to keep making sure that we're a part of it. So if you're in the Boston area, the Cambridge, Massachusetts, the New England area, shoot, if you're even in New York or New Jersey or DC or Philly, head up for the conference. It's free to go to. They've already closed proposals for speaking and for performing and presenting, but you should go to this if you are a educator, for sure. If you're a artist or a participant in the culture and you want to get into this next level of what you could do with your artistry to help people in different ways. So those are the two conferences that I know about. There's also happening also in New York. And mind you, I'm New York heavy because I had a big presence in New York in the hip hop scene for a long time as a journalist. I covered the New York hip hop scene for a long time. So I get a lot of the news and stuff comes to me very easily on my algorithms for New York. I'm in Atlanta now. So I've got I got to tell you about some things I'm doing in Atlanta coming up. in the next couple weeks. So I'm Atlanta heavy because that's where I am now. But at the same time, if you know of some things that are happening, just contact me, reach out, find out how to get in contact with me. You can go to hiphopcasaveamerica.com. There's a contact. You can go to mannyfaces.com. There's a contact. Send me information about what you're doing anywhere in the country. I put it in the newsletter, and then I speak about it on this show. And maybe you catch it if you're watching live. Maybe you're going to catch it on the replay. Some of these things I break out into different videos. I put them on social, reels, all that stuff. So I'm trying my best to make sure that people know about your events. And the people that listen to me like that hip hop culture on an elevated level. So again, I know there's a South by Southwest panel. I should have that ready. If you're going to South by Southwest, Edu, right? Hip hop. Who's on that? Rawls is on that. John Robinson. Let's see if it'll come up if I Google it real quick. There it is. I love when it works like this. So if you're going to South by Southwest, again, I don't know about these things until you tell me about these things. So, tell me about these things. This is called Bigger Than Hip Hop, Why Folks Say It Controls Your Brain. What an interesting topic. This is happening at South by Southwest EDU, which is their yearly education part of the South by Southwest conference, happening on, I don't know, when is this? March 6th. At 3:30 Central Time at the Austin Convention Center. So, of course, again, if you're going to South by South, if you're an educator, or even if you're going for like the music part of it, maybe you can come in a little early. I don't know how the scheduling works, but you might want to talk to these guys. These folks are teaching artists, they are educators, and a little bit of both. I'll read the synopsis here. It says there have been dramatic shifts in education since schools first opened in the U.S. in 1647. That was a great year. 1647. So the weather was so good. From educational priorities to classroom sizes to demographics to technology, schoolhouses look wildly different than Horace Mann's original design. I'll take their word for it. I don't know what Horace Mann's original design was, but I'm sure it didn't look like a school today. It probably had less rooms. I feel confident there. While innovation catapulted schools into the 21st century, education systems have stayed in the 19th century. That's not good. We're not in the 19th century. Imagine everything stayed in the 19th century. You know how much syphilis we would have? Anyway, causing our youth and communities to suffer as they would with syphilis. It's time for a new approach to education, and it all boils down to just two words, unless there's a hyphen, which people don't like. So 2 words, hip hop. Bong. So Bigger Than Hip Hop, Why Folks Say It Controls Your Brain. That is at the South by Southwest EDU conference. You will have folks like Sir Vincent Johnson. Y'all know him as Wordsworth. James Miles, who might be watching because I saw you liked my LinkedIn post, James. And I'd love to have you on here too. Fresh Professor James Miles, I'd love to have you on the show. Don't think I don't see you. I definitely see you. My man, Jason Rawls, Dr. Jason Rawls, J. Rawls, who was a guest on this show just a couple episodes ago. And John Robinson, the mighty JR, who was a guest at Panera when him and I had lunch together here in the area. But I've not had on the show. Long overdue. We're going to get him on too. So once again, Bigger Than Hip Hop, Why Folks Say It Controls Your Brain. It probably does. And as much as they like to say it controls your brain in a bad way, I guess it can control your brain in a good way too. Interesting. If only I had a psychologist that knew hip hop that could come on the show tonight at 10 o'clock in about 40 minutes, unless she comes on early, like I told her she could at 9:30, then she'll be here in 10 minutes. Dr. Adia Winfrey will be on and let's talk about this with a psychologist or psychiatrist, probably a psychologist. Yeah. You know, the difference, means something, but to us, most of us, we don't care. But it means something. I'm not saying we don't care. We should care. Anyway, that's it. So do check them out. Again, more things to get into if you're looking for hip hop on a higher level, which you can't use because that was XXL Magazine's tagline. Hip hop culture elevated. That's what I'm going for. Coverage of hip hop culture, elevated. Huh? That's the working. It's my working tagline right now for what we do here on Hip Hop Can Save America. Right now, I'm in the middle of something that I like to call hip hop news that isn't about dumb shit. So give me a thumbs up, like that video, give it a quick share, help your boy out. We're almost at 550 subscribers. Now, that's not a lot in the grand scheme of things, obviously. But when I started this, like October, November, I was at like 90. And that shows that there's a nice progression of people that are adding to this. The best way we can keep doing this is teach one each one, spread it to our friends and neighbors and supporters and haters. So do give me a thumbs up on the video and share it real quick to your networks. Let people know we're out here doing it. Once again, giving you hip hop news that isn't about dumb-ish. And I will keep it going because that's what we're here to do. And I see. Okay, if I go here. See, that's the mistake I keep making. All right, my little pea brain, I'll figure it out. And then Lincoln Center, also in New York. Like I said, I'm New York heavy, even though I just gave you Austin, Texas. Lincoln Center has done some good stuff with hip hop in the last couple of years. I really like their dedication to programming that has to do with hip hop. Shouts to other institutions in New York like Brick and Queens Public Library. Like, I love New York City, and it was before Hip-Hop 50, and it's after Hip-Hop 50. They're still doing stuff, and New York City, recognizes, and a lot of institutions do the right thing out there. So, happening at Lincoln Center, Fresh, Bold, and So Deaf Symposium, a tribute to women in hip-hop. I wanted to, you know what I should have done? I'm going to do it with y'all together, since we have time. I think we have time, because I don't think our guest is going to come until 10. But let's see. So I'm going to go to Martha Diaz's page. Martha Diaz is from the Hip-Hop Education Center. She's done a lot of things. And she's going to talk about this April 5th Lincoln Center, the first of a 3-part series paying tribute to women in hip-hop. So you'll want to follow Hip-Hop Education Center on your Instagrams, but you'll want to hear what Martha Diaz has to say. Shouts to the lovely and talented and brilliant good friend of mine, good friend of the show, Martha Diaz, who will tell you. If I turn on the sound. Okay.
Women in hip hop don't have the luxury of uniting and having these meetups. This is very unique. So for us to have women from all over the country coming together to have a real earnest conversation about our roles and what we need to change in our culture, it's epic. It's going to be monumental.
I agree. These are the kind of things that I guess I wish I was still back in New York to be able to see. So once again, we have it as April 5th, Lincoln Center, Fresh, Bold, and So Deaf Symposium, a tribute to women in hip hop. Friday, April 5th, dang it, I'll get it right, y'all. 2:30 to 11 p.m. It's a full day of things, an all-day event. We encourage you to stay for the duration of the symposium, but you're free to stop by throughout the day. I wish I could be there. Where will I be April 5th? I don't know. I'll be here. I'll be in Atlanta, but okay. Anyway, join us for the inaugural Fresh, Bold, and So Deaf Symposium, which spotlights the often unsung heroines who have played a pivotal role in shaping the landscape of hip-hop culture. Held at Lincoln Center's Alice Tully Hall, this all-day symposium showcases the rich tapestry of talent and innovation brought forth by women trailblazers in a male-dominated industry as a means of empowering future and seasoned artistic leaders. I love it. The carefully curated panel discussions, keynote speeches, performances, and networking opportunities are tailored to industry professionals, artists, and guests of the culture. A fantastic lineup. Oh, man. I really do wish I was there for this. Misa Hilton will be there speaking. Wendy Day. Tony Blackman, the great Tony Blackman. Dr. Joan Morgan. Wow. Martha Diaz with a great First Lady Cypher. MC Shy Rock, Pebbly Pooh. Debbie D, Lisa Lee. This is great. Kathy Iandoli, who writes great books, including the Aaliyah book. She wrote a book with Prodigy. This is going to be a great day. I wish I was there. Suggested ticket price of $35, but you can choose what you pay. Tickets, remember, Pre-sale goes at February 15th at noon. General on sale February 22nd at noon. Women in hip hop. What a great thing. And I wish that more institutions would do these sorts of things, and we should encourage them to do so. So if your local institution, local museum, library, Lincoln Center-esque type organization isn't doing that, write them an email and say, you should be incorporating hip hop into your programming. You could send them to hiphopadvocacy.org, and you can read an article that I wrote advocating for this, 7 years ago, when I said that museums, libraries, and other institutions need to have, this is something you need to do. We need more of these things. Some of these things are very basic, right? They're covering the bases. We need to be able to have more of these so that it's not just rehashing the same old topics. When women, listen, okay, Natalie Crew, good point. Again, when women talk about how we move forward and innovate, women have been having conversations around the problems for decades. Great event, but I'm just saying. Okay, that's a fair point. Like I said, we can't just have sort of these. We have to have all spectrums and make sure that we're doing a lot of them, because we cover more bases that way. I'm on a panel here in Atlanta, and it's and we saw a lot of this during Hip-Hop 50 too. We saw a lot of history of aspect A of hip hop, right? History of, and it's like history. What are we doing to move forward? What are we doing to innovate, fully moving forward? And I don't want to just go over the history of social justice in hip hop. I want to talk about innovative, really forward-thinking ways to really make an impact now that we have that power and that ability. Natalie Cruz says she can't type because of the earthquake in California. I understand that. I think that if there were earthquakes where I was, I wouldn't live there. So I get it. That's fine. There's one thing about being in New York, like there's not a lot of like natural disasters that happen in New York. You know what I mean? Like we don't get earthquakes, we get hurricanes, although that's, global warming, we will, and we've gotten a little bit here and there. Tornadoes, very, 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 very rare. We don't get, we get COVID outbreaks. We were nice ground zero for that, but we don't get these things. And then you think about places around the country where you're like Tornado Alley and Earthquake, California. I mean, it's one good thing about New York. I'm in Atlanta now, so I do have to pay attention because tornadoes, they're coming more east, right? Where Tornado Alley is extending because of all the weather patterns changing. So it's pretty crazy that, you might live in a part of the country that doesn't get a lot of these things, that now you're going to start getting these things. Anyway, to Natalie's point, yeah, okay, that's exactly what I'm saying. I love it. Well, it's not exactly what I'm saying. She's saying her thing, and I'm saying the history is important, however, as a person in tech, blockchain, and hip-hop, which I definitely want to delve into, Nat. And of course, we'll have, you know why I'm not doing it? I haven't asked you or folks like Kane. I also want to make sure that I like the idea of a panel of we'll talk about this. I also want to center future forecasting in innovation too, and also making sure we bring forth and shepherd in new faces in our events. So this is why I was suggesting and trying to help folks say, go to these conferences, even if you're not an educator, even if you're not in this field, make your presence known. Get in there and say, I'm doing this work too, right? It's not just the OGs, right? I love the OGs, and I think we need to hear from them for sure. But Natalie's point is very well taken, that the history is important. However, as a person in tech, blockchain, and hip hop, I also want to center future forecasting and innovation too. And again, when I talk social justice and hip hop, I don't want to talk about all the history of it and then say, it'd be great if we still did that. Because in this regard, social justice and hip hop can't look today like it did then. And it's a longer discussion, and I'll get into it when I get into things I got to get into. But I don't want social justice to just be like songs on the radio, right? The social justice and hip hop connectivity that I know of is very innovative and forward thinking. When I've talked in the show before, how Majesty, rest in peace, from New York, used to bring organizations like Cop Watch and Justice League of New York into the album release parties and set up tables right next to the merch, right next to where we bring the t-shirts, right? That activates more people, in my opinion. That connects to more people in a way different than if artist A makes a protest song and it makes some noise on the radio for a couple of weeks, or, news programs say, well, this was really great. They made this protest song and now, donations are going to help the blah, blah, blah. But having, and we'll talk to Dr. Winfrey tonight when she comes on, probably in half an hour, although I told her she could join us early. But she's scheduled for 10 o'clock because we had another guest. And she has a whole connection to activating young people to get involved in the political process, in a different way. I think that works better. This is me. That works better than the old way of doing it, which was the only way you could reach the people, the masses, was put a song out that, protest music or whatever you want to call it. This goes back to obviously the 60s and the civil rights movement. And even before then, protest music through mass distribution was an important way to activate and to bring attention to issues. Absolutely. And hip hop did it great when they were in the 80s and the early 90s, when they're bringing attention to social ills. And then you hear that, oh, well, they stopped doing that. It got off the radio and no one's doing that anymore. And yes, that's true. Consolidation of corporate media and DJs not being able to play what they want and all that stuff affected that being an avenue for music to be the messenger. And then we say now, well, people are still doing that kind of music. You just got to look for it. And they're like, okay, but then it's not as impactful. And I'm like, yes, like, oh, it's all true. Absolutely. But what I'm saying is that hip hop culture, people invested in it. What Natalie just said about blockchain and technology, that's a form of social justice, right? That's getting involved in these technological pursuits, being able to put out your music independently, working like I do with Newsbeat Podcast, which incorporates hip hop into a journalism product that, by the way, is an award-winning podcast that beat out, I don't know if you heard of them, the New York Times, is it? The New York Times? So we did a podcast that's social justice journalism, talking about social justice issues, and we bring rappers into it, and it wins awards because it's such a beautiful combination and intersection of art and talent and journalism and whatever. This is a forward-thinking way to tackle the subject. So, Natalie, I hear what you're saying, that it's great to show what the women have done in and throughout history. And that's a narrative that needs to be amplified and isn't told enough. Absolutely. But in the same regard, if we just talk about the history of what's happening with women in hip hop and we don't talk about the current and the future, then you're right. We're missing an opportunity to really inspire the next generation of leaders. It's like these conferences where you have all the, OG music execs, and you pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to this conference, and they tell you about how to market your music and how to do all the things. But I'm like, y'all know how to work in a music industry that's at least 10 years old, out of date, and things are different now. Are you bringing real innovation to the table, or are you just living up your heyday and name dropping, and you're able to tell young people, this is how we did it? No, that's how yes, that's how you did it. That's not how you do it. I did mention Wendy Day, going to be at that conference. Wendy Day is someone that's moved with the times, had a great history in the music business, as far as I could tell. Does the podcast that now where she's, talking about new ways of distributing music and new ways of marketing and all this stuff. There's an update. But a lot of these guys, girls, folks, people at these conferences don't know anything about how to innovate. So they're getting beat out by the 15-year-olds that know how to work SoundCloud or knew how to, work social media and blowing them out of the water. So they're trying to they're not the people to give me advice. I want to talk to the 15-year-old who figured out how to, go do the algorithm. Why do I want to know how you dropped a marketing campaign with street sweepers back in 1998? And went double platinum. I don't know. This is me personally. So anyway, Natalie, thank you for launching me into a rant. But yeah, I want to make sure that we're always thinking about forward progression. Now, I know I think some of the names involved with that that conference are conscious of that. I would hope that they are, and I would hope that we keep pushing our folks who are in these beautiful positions to make sure that we're current and forward thinking. Now, let me just say real quick, I will be, since I mentioned it, I will be in Atlanta. Where am I? Solo share. Let's go. Bing, bing, bing. Okay. Two things I'm doing personally. This is personal. One of them is related to what we just talked about. Thank you, Natalie, for the yes. I'll be keynoting a virtual music educator seminar, panel, workshop, whatever you want to call it. Well, they call it a workshop, so whatever they want to call it. This is Saturday, February 24th. This is at 10 a.m., although it's a whole day thing. Hip-hop pedagogy for music educators. This is kind of specific. I think if you're not a music educator, you won't really, care that much, but it's cool. This Saturday? No, God, thank God. Okay. 2 Saturdays from now, 9 a.m. Eastern? I don't know. I gotta see the whole time thing there. Anyway, point is, this is a celebration of in part, a man named Jarrett Shield, who was a great music educator out of the Berkeley College of Music or School of Music, Berkeley. You know what I'm talking about. And Jarrett was a good dude, passed away in 2022. He started this, he had, was one of the ones behind this workshop, and it's the way to incorporate hip hop into music education. One of the funny things that we don't talk about a lot. We talk about hip hop as a way to teach young people in different subjects, right? How you could teach math through hip hop, how you could teach science through math, through hip hop. And a lot of people do that kind of work. English language arts through hip hop. Great. What's funny and ironic in not funny way is that music education still has a lot to go in terms of incorporating hip hop into music education, learning how to do music, learning how to play music, learning what music is. Hip hop's really still trying to fight for a place of legitimacy in that, in that field. Jarrett Shield was an instrumental figure who worked to help make that happen. In fact, one of the sessions at this conference, what we learned from Jarrett Shield, one of the great minds behind this workshop since it started in 2020, died suddenly in 2022, but left a strong legacy and shaped our thinking, especially in his expansive view of how hip hop could interface with traditional music education, including band, choir, orchestra, jazz, general music. We'll unpack some of his ideas and his influence. So I'm honored, as I knew Jarrett Shield, on a cursory level. He was on this show. He was on the precursor to this show, the audio version of this show. And I learned a lot from him in terms of how we should incorporate hip hop into music education, not necessarily just in education. I think it's a great tool for being used in education and undervalued in music education. And Jarrett Shield helped me see it. He talked about it, and we'll be celebrating his life and legacy and that incorporation, that mixture of music, hip hop in music education. So it's virtual. You can log in and you can sign up and you can watch me talk. I'm doing the keynote at the beginning. And then again, what we learned from Jarrett, The Power of the Cipher features Mother Nature, the acclaimed hip hop duo Clever and Truth. Then hip hop in the orchestra or band room. So if you're a music teacher, this is going to be a phenomenal thing to be a part of. Hip hop in the elementary general music room, hip hop in the choir room, popping and locking, a quick and thrilling overview of what hip hop dance looks like in 2024 and why it matters in your music classroom. Some beginning beat making workshop or, situation there, and spoken word art with kids playing instruments. So again, these are ways that you can incorporate hip hop into your musical education landscape of your school. So God, I wish, my kid goes to a school near here and she's in choir, chorus, same thing, right? See, choir, I think church, but chorus, I think like school, but it's in the same thing. It's the same thing, right? Choir. Anyway, bunch of kids singing. She goes to bunch of kids singing. And baby girl faces. She has the flu, y'all. She has the flu. I know, but it's very minor and very mild. and she's doing the medicines, and I think she's gonna be okay. She's very minor, very minor. We didn't even know it was a flu. We're like, yo, you got a fever? You sick? She's like, I guess. I don't know. It wasn't even like flu. But anyway, one song for Baby Girl Faces. What should I play? I guess I could do the air horn for Baby Girl Faces. And she goes to choir chorus, bunch of kids singing, and it's like, I don't think her teacher knows about this conference. You know what I mean? Like, I should send it to him, but I can't send it to every chorus teacher across the country. So I hope that maybe if you know a chorus teacher, or your kid goes to choir, chorus, bunch of kids singing class, you should tell them about this conference. I think it's a really, really, really good and probably understated, undervalued, or underknown thing. So I don't know who I'm talking to. I hope that y'all know people. I hope y'all give me a thumbs up and share this real quick. I appreciate y'all. If y'all watching on the replay, if you're watching live, I think it's light tonight, Natalie. I think it's light. Nobody's talking. The keynote king. Yeah, I'll do some keynotes. Give me some money. I'll do it for free. I won't do it for free. I can't say. Why would I say that? Anyway, I do love volunteering, but we gotta keep this going. The second thing I'm doing. This is in Atlanta, in person at Atlanta's Metropolitan State College. I don't have why can't I bring up the picture? Dang it. Where did I put this so I can make you see it better? Oh, I know where. So this is happening on February 27th. This is in the A in Atlanta. And the intersection of social justice and Atlanta hip hop. I'm actually going to play you what I said about it before. Check this from this show. Look how meta this is. This is cool. Check it out. Look. Watch the video. Wait, if I go. If you're in Atlanta, this is dope. I'm very happy to be a part of this. I ruined it. Okay, here we go. It's very meta. Check it out. If you're in Atlanta, this is dope. I'm very happy to be a part of this. I'm on a panel, The Intersections of Social Justice and Atlanta Hip Hop. Now, I've only been in Atlanta for a couple of years. I'm super honored that they would put me on this. We've got some great panelists on there as well. Samaya Ali, Yamil Little. I've been watching these two folks do work out here. Christopher Daniel, Manny Faces, that's me, and Bame Joyner, my man Bame. If you know, you know. There's no way you could be in Atlanta and do anything of artistic importance and not know who Bame Joyner is. He's out here. He'll be on that panel as well. And we'll be sharing some insight about hip hop and social justice. Now, they've been in Atlanta. They know about hip hop and social justice in Atlanta, but I do Newsbeat podcasts. I do a lot of work intersecting hip hop and social justice. So I will hopefully have a few things to say.
Manny Faces.
You sick for this one.
Yes, indeed. I will have a few things to say. I definitely am honored and privileged to be a part of that. Panel discussion. So once again, Natalie says, Manny is charging for the keynotes in the 99 to the 2024s. Support Manny by booking him and supporting this show directly. I like it. I'm 100% for you can support the show directly if you're so inclined. Anyone watching, patreon.com/Manny Faces. Manny Faces. Good guy, that Manny Faces. But yeah, so I'll be in Atlanta at these. Well, I'm here in Atlanta anyway, but I'll be at this panel discussion. It's a good lineup. I think it's interesting. Samaya Ali is an activist out here. Yamil Little as well. Also does some direct hip hop artwork type things. Christopher Daniels and an acclaimed journalist out here. I'm me, so that's going to be great. And Bame Joyner, as I mentioned, is a I guess the city of Atlanta. The city of Atlanta's cultural ambassador. Let me just say that. And really good guy. I'm really honored to be on this panel. I've only been out here for a couple of years, so I do recognize that they, recognize what I do and that it's important, and that's really dope. And yeah, so I'm looking to make sure that our guest is not hitting me up on any kind of weird issues. Like I said, Dr. Adia Winfrey, Dr. Dia, as she is known, will be here, according to plan, at 10 o'clock. So stick around if you're still watching on the live stream. And if you're watching on the replay, talking about youth empowerment, activism, politics. Dr. Dia, as she's affectionately known, was a U.S. congressional what do you call those things? Candidates. She ran for Congress. She has developed a curriculum. We're just talking about using curriculum in schools called Healing Young People Through Empowerment. It's just the type of hype that we like on this show. So please give us a thumbs up, share this, let people know that we're doing some real important hip hop culture on an elevated level type stuff. And we'll hear from Dr. Winfrey in just a few minutes. In the meantime, in between time, while I will say that I don't always love when a big artist does some kind of protest song, I do respect when local communities come together using hip hop to, again, elevate, make sure that the community is aware that the music can be used to inspire and uplift and do all the great things that we want from our young people. And I saw this just recently. As you know, I like to share. It's a little something I call hip-hop news that isn't about dumb shit. So as part of that, as you know, I'm sharing some of the things that I come across that you might not see on your normal hip-hop media outlets. This is in Kentucky. Some hip-hop artists filming an anti-gun violence music video in downtown Lexington. I will be sharing these stories on the free newsletter. So if you're not subscribed to the free newsletter, please do so. You can get that newsletter at mannyfaces.substack.com. But again, this is pretty cool. This is let's play the news story right quick. Let's just do that.
For years, people in Lexington have said they are fed up with gun violence. Groups say they're tired of losing friends and neighbors. Now, a few Lexington-based hip-hop artists are taking matters into their own hands, using their talents to help end gun violence. WKYT's Alyssa Williams was downtown for the Guns Down music video shoot this afternoon.
I go out into the community now, I'm going to play basketball, and there's 16, 15-year-old kids shooting, and they have guns in their backpacks, and we going to play basketball. Why do we got a gun and we playing basketball?
Anthony Skinner, also known as Tony Wavy, was inspired to write his song Guns Down after seeing how his friends, family, and community has been impacted by gun violence.
Yeah, I have 2 kids myself, 2 sons, so I don't want them to grow up in a space where they can't, go outside without thinking that something bad is going to happen to them.
The song features local rapper Gosh Josh and anti-gun violence activist Divine Karama.
People have lost loved ones. People live in some neighborhoods that hear gunshots every night. So how do we treat those people? How do we engage them? It has to be with a trauma-informed care approach. And I think that's what this song is about.
The trio and other community members shot the song's music video in downtown Lexington on Saturday, hoping to prove that the cycle of gun violence can end with each of us.
We're trying to show kids you don't have to be this way just because you hear it in the music or your favorite rapper talk about this and that. So, yeah, trying to change the narrative of things.
I felt it was very important to push this message out and that everyone could hear it and everyone could see, like, there's more to music and hip-hop than just kill and over-sexualizing of our women, but putting the guns down and, being real.
In Lexington, Alyssa Williams, WKYT.
Guns Down will be released February 16th on all music platforms.
There you go. One of the type of things we like to talk about here. Obviously, when young people get involved in, doing these kind of efforts, we don't always hear about it. So we're sharing that information here. Once again, mannyfaces.substack.com, a free newsletter that you can subscribe to and get stories like these sent directly to your inbox. I got a few more for you, but I also, like I promised, or I promised, well, I didn't promise it really, but I suggested that our guest might come in a little early because I asked them that if they were available, they could. And that may have happened. So I'll give you one more news story and then we'll check in with our guest because I'm very excited and very, been a long time coming. I'm really looking forward to it. So I'll give you 1 or 2 quick stories that I want to share with y'all that you should know about. Again, hip hop news that isn't about dumb-ish. As I like to make sure we cover all the elements as well. We try to get in all of the elements that we can. This is an interesting story. This is actually a foreign publication, but it talks about a foreign happening. So, hip hop could save the world too, not just America. But this talks about introducing hip hop into the official dance of the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. As we know, hip hop is making a big splash in the next Olympics. Breaking is sort of, I forget what they call it. It's not a full on, official sport yet, but it's being introduced. It's provisional, I think is what it's called. So we're going to see breaking in the Olympics this year in Paris. Should be exciting. Should be great. There's a lot of talk, a lot of discussion, a lot of controversy. Make sure that it's being represented properly. And you know how it is when the culture gets involved in the capitalism. It's the whole thing. But that being said, this gentleman right here is in charge of creating the dance for the Olympics. Apparently, this was kind of news to me, so it may be news to you. There's a dance that goes along with every Olympic Games. It's like they have the parade of people, right? That come in with their flags and do all the things. There's apparently a dance, and this guy's incorporating hip hop into the dance. He's a choreographer from Lyon, which is the other place that I've been to in France, which I love dearly and has a great hip hop scene. So a lot going on. I thought it was a great story. Read it, find it. Again, I can't share the links. I could share the link. I guess I can. I'll do it because I'm being friendly, and I could use a co-host. But anyway, in the meantime, like I say, the newsletter has all this stuff. Subscribe to the newsletter and you'll get all these stories. I'll give you one more. Again, just throwing back. That's a longer conversation. We ain't gonna talk about that yet. But there was also obviously we just had Dilla Day, and I just want to again show ways that hip hop, music, and culture, as you know, can be used and are being used to uplift lives and humanity and all the wonderful things that we know it can do. And Jay Dilla's Dilla Family Day in Detroit was an example of that. I wanted to show a quick snippet of what that looked like as well, and then we'll move on. But again, you can check into this stuff from our newsletter. I should be having it go out, I don't know, Thursday. So sign up now. You get links to all these stories. Or if it touches your spirit, go look for it online. There's a way that you can actually type into this site called Google, and it's really fascinating. Just try it. Check it out.
Dilla Family Day. It came from an idea from a lot of people in the community, from the village. DJ Jungle, who's in charge of DJ Spin. Also Greg McKenzie, who's our economic development coordinator here at the Al-Kebulan Village, and a host of other people like DJ Butter. So they're all doing this in tribute and celebration of James Yancey, who we all know as Jay Dilla. But we wanted to get the Al-Kebulan Village involved. We have a partnership with Avalon Village. We call it A2V2. And basically, we just wanted to celebrate community. We wanted to celebrate our families. We wanted to celebrate, most importantly, our children by educating them not only on Jay Dilla, but also on things like DJing, also on things like filmmaking. We brought in Amadeus Christ, an incredible filmmaker from the West Coast. And also we had our local comedian, T Barb, teach the children about social media, teach the children about comedy. So we have some incredible people doing incredible things with our incredible children. In the DJ workshop, they're learning about different sequences of DJing. They're learning about music and cadence and sound. But really what they're learning, and it's an underlying way of teaching them that, is math. They're simply learning how to count in different ways, how to count with odd numbers, how to count with even numbers. And our incredible instructors are teaching them that through music, so the whole time, they really just think they're having fun. Amongst other things here at the village, one of the things that we do have is funding for at least 10 students to attend the DJ Spin classes every month. So that's something that's open to the public. My suggestion is you want to make sure that you register, sign up, because it's limited spots, but we have a ton of things for children to do. So even if they don't make that cut, we still have a plethora of things for the children to be involved in.
I love it. There you go. Dilla Family Day. Learn about it, read about it. The Detroit News covered that story. There's more, obviously, in the article you can find out. And again, this passed already. And what I'd love to do is have these folks on the show. I'd love to have everybody on the show. The way I can do that is you support the show right now. Thumbs up, share it to your peoples. Patreon.com/Manny Faces. A couple dollars a month would help keep the lights on. Otherwise, it'll look like this. Doesn't look very appealing, does it? No. You can help keep the lights on, literally, and we can get more people on the show. We can get more people involved and keep growing this beautiful movement that we have. Hip hop can save America, and one way that we can do that is pay attention to people like the folks at Dilla Family Day. So, with all that being said, like I said, the newsletter will give you all of that information. So sign up for that. And without a further ado, if it's all right with you, I would love to invite to the stage someone who's been I've been watching for quite some time and just admiring in so many ways. You're going to find out why in about 2 seconds. The wonderful. Wait a minute. It was right there. Dr. Adia Winfrey. There you are.
I'm here. Peace.
Peace and love. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing as well as could be expected, I suppose. I want to thank you for coming a little early. I guess maybe you got my message. We had a little time, so
Yeah.
Why stay up later than you need to, right?
Right. Look, the work does not stop. It just, it goes on and on and on. But yeah, I'm really excited to be here and happy that I got the invite and appreciate the work that you're doing.
I appreciate that appreciation. I have, I think you may know, we have a Venn diagram of people and places, but I don't think we've actually been in the same place at the same time. So it's really been just an honor to meet you and to talk to you. And thank you for coming and spending a little time tonight. I appreciate you. What I want to talk about a little bit, obviously you do a bunch of things. They all kind of tie in together, and I love that about it. I have you noted. I've noted the people that you. The one thing that I guess I first came across was the H.Y.P.E curriculum and the H.Y.P.E movement. I know you're doing stuff more currently, but I think that's a great place to just kind of give people an understanding of what one of your babies was, that you put together. So maybe just a little quick rundown of what the H.Y.P.E movement was, how you got to putting it together, your history as a psychologist and, all that stuff, and how the curriculum came about. How do you talk about that work? And I think it's a great way for people to get to know you right out of the gate.
Awesome. Well, again, Manny, thanks for having me. My work with hip hop really has been just a lifelong evolution. I grew up to hip hop. Tupac was my favorite rapper. And I tell people that it really was divine because when I was 12, that's when Brenda's Got a Baby came out. And at the time that the song dropped, my 12-year-old classmate was pregnant. And the fact that this song was on the radio, even though my parents did not like rap, like most parents didn't back then, but it created an opportunity for my mom to talk to me about this real life situation through this song. And so that really planted the seeds for the H.Y.P.E curriculum. Now, H.Y.P.E stands for Healing Young People Through Empowerment. And it started out as my doctoral dissertation. I am a doctor of psychology. And it was the first of its kind as it relates to psychology dissertations. My aim was to showcase the positive side of hip hop because dissertations prior to that was like, these are the negative things that happen when you consume rap.
Right.
And so initially going into it, I'm like, I want to find a way to show the hip hop that I grew to, the way it empowered me. Right. And as I was working on the dissertation, I recognized that this was a need now. It wasn't just an assignment. This was something that could be utilized in the world. And so once I defended my dissertation and piloted the curriculum, I changed my dissertation into a manuscript and sent it to a couple of publishers and got picked up by Dr. Juwanza Kanjufu. And the rest, as they say, is history. Right. Once the book came out, at that time I just moved to Atlanta and really was just kind of working it with, talking about the book in as many places as possible. And I got the opportunity to work for a community mental health center where I was able to do my curriculum. And a journalist contacted me, Chandra Thomas Whitfield, and did a feature of me in Jet Magazine. I was on Tom Joyner. This was in 2011. Right. And once I did the Tom Joyner show, that blew me up. Like right. Literally, as soon as it dropped, I started the company, Elevating Us, and it just really like raised my platform. And the way the H.Y.P.E movement came about is I was going to schools and speaking, particularly Redan High School in Stone Mountain, and the youth were just like, we want to work with you. A young lady, Brandy, she was a freshman at the time, and she's like, I want to be your intern. And I'm like, well, I don't really need an intern, but okay. You know right. what I'm saying? But that right. I was like, all right. But once that Tom Joyner effect hit, like 3 weeks later, I saw where I could bring these young people in and give them opportunities to express themselves, to showcase their talents, to have opportunities to explore their interests, because it really wasn't like any opportunities for young people like that in the
Yeah.
Stone Mountain area. And so we did that for several years, and I'm still doing it. But the young people are now in their 20s and 30s and have children and families, and it
Yeah.
just goes on and on.
Yeah, that's dope. What first of all, where are you these days? You're not still around Atlanta, are you?
I'm actually in Talladega, Alabama. I have been
Oh, right,
here
of course,
for 10
Alabama.
years.
Yeah, that'll be the next thing we talk about. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
on the North Southwest. I'm still getting my bearings because I did the thing that New Yorkers do, and I moved to Atlanta. And so I'm west. So I'm actually close to Alabama. In fact, if I tell people where I live,
Oh, really?
the locals in Atlanta will be like, "Oh, you in Alabama?" I'm not, but I'm over on the west area. So yeah, I'm pretty close.
Oh, good. Okay, so
Yeah,
you close to me. Yeah. So
I'm
I'm
close.
like only like what 25 miles from the Georgia border. So
Okay, all
I
right,
go
yep.
to Atlanta frequently.
That's
Yeah.
what's up. That's what's up. That's there's again, if from New York, every place is horrible, but this is a nice area. We can deal with it. Okay. we'll let it. We'll give it a
Nice.
pass.
Spoken like a true New Yorker. Spoken like a
100%.
true New Yorker.
100%. But I do like it down here, and I love a lot of these interactions where you'll find organizations that are willing to. You say a community mental health, organization that are willing. They know the power of hip hop. They know the power of culture and arts. It's ingrained in Atlanta. It's very much part of the DNA. So you see a lot of that. So if I'm talking to somebody who's not familiar with, the idea, just the concept, I know it's foreign to some people who aren't familiar with the culture close, that hip hop could be an empowering tool. And you talked about it a little bit, like just the way you were able to talk to your mom about a situation that might have been a really difficult thing to discuss, but here was a conduit, right? Here was a way to make that connection. That's one way. Just, I guess, maybe anecdotally or, in general, what are some of the ways that you see young people being empowered, through hip hop? Like the end of hype is through, through empowerment, hip hop through empowerment. How are you doing it through this channel? What are some other examples, I guess, if you had to be, I'm sure you've had to tell some lay folk who don't get it. How do you,
Absolutely.
how do you do that?
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the biggest things, one of the great things really about hip hop culture, particularly rap music, is that it gives you the opportunity to talk about a wide range of subjects. I mean, a wide range. And so oftentimes when we want to speak to young people, it's difficult just to, that's a huge first step. Once you start breaking down those walls and you get someone open enough to at least receive the information, then you can start the critical thinking. Then you can start challenging beliefs. Then you can begin introducing new ways of thinking, new ideas, new concepts, things of that nature. And that's really one of the powers of the H.Y.P.E curriculum, is that we present information that most any mental health intervention or therapy modality would do. We talk about grief, we talk about various psychiatric diagnoses and symptomologies, but we pair it with the music. And so it's not just us talking at young people, it's engaging them in dialogue and creating opportunities for them to lead. And so within the curriculum, while we do have facilitators, as you go through these 12 sessions, there's less and less work for the facilitators to do, because the youth really take ownership of the group and begin to challenge and see things in each other. And from there, you're able to help them create goals, help them to understand how these systems of oppression really shape what our realities are, and begin to help them to see the gifts that they have that we often don't see as gifts. A lot of our young people, and I think that is better now than it was 10 years ago, but a lot of gifts that our young people have are difficult to categorize in traditional jobs or settings, or things that when we were coming up, we're called a so-called good job. I think we're kind of out of that now because people kind of
Right.
get it, but still, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, with hip hop, we're able, and using it as a tool of empowerment, we're able to create these moments where young people are able to see these things in themselves, but also to live it out. So,
Mm.
being a graphic designer,
Right.
being a artist of some type, writing, photography, videography, being an entrepreneur. We're talking about those elements of hip hop culture that are in the Hip Hop Declaration of Peace, beyond, just the entertainment factor.
Right, right. We'll always say like there's so many more ways to be involved now. And you're right, it's better now. You could be a journalist that just covers, you could be me. Could be me, but you could be again, you can get into psychology, you could be a teaching artist, you could be a mentor, you
Yeah,
could
come
be
on now.
all
Yes.
these things. Right. And there's so many opportunities that even if you want to be, because like many of us, I wanted to be a rapper. I was a DJ. I did production. I did beats. I did remixes. But now I make podcasts. Not this one, but other ones where we incorporate music and hip hop into that mix. And it's like, wow, that's a way I can still keep my creative talents. Maybe I'm not the superstar, right? But I can still be involved, make an impact. And I think for young people to see that, they're not often told that. And this is a great method to do that. This is great for, that's another thing I want to say, like to the people that might be listening that aren't familiar with all of these ideas that it's inherent to us. Like we know it. We know this stuff works. It worked for us, so we know it. And we're from different backgrounds, you and me, but it affected us the same way. So this isn't just something that I think what also happens a lot. And I think that it is more important that these things are happening in the communities from whence hip hop came, for sure, because you mentioned oppression. You mentioned just having a lack of resources, being underfunded, under-resourced, and underloved, by, greater society. So that's where these disparities can be, leveled out a little bit because of these great tools. However, it also can affect people across the board. Like this is something that's universal as well.
Yes.
Right? Can you just talk a little bit about that? How this doesn't just have to be like how we can fix the urban, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. So when I first started implementing the H.Y.P.E curriculum in the Stone Mountain area, the youth I was working with were from all different backgrounds. Now, for the most part, I was working with the department, I think it's called like department DHR, I think is what it's called in Georgia.
Okay.
So kids that were in group homes or maybe in foster care, but also youth that were going through the juvenile correction system. But bottom line is it was youth from all different kind of backgrounds, different races. Everybody wasn't into rap music, but there was something that everybody could gain from it. And so there is this universal piece about music that somehow connects us and becomes a bridge and a way for us to have difficult conversations sometimes. And the thing that I really was intentional about when I created the curriculum is I wanted to include music from different, I would say I intentionally didn't use so-called conscious artists.
Okay. Yeah.
And I also wanted to use, and so using that as a way to engage young people and almost as a teaching tool. So it's not necessarily that they're listening to the people that they would normally listen to, but in hearing this music and hearing a song that's older than them, there are lessons and things there as well. So even though they may like rap, they don't like our rap, but they can still find value in it and learn and grow.
Yeah. Factual. If you're listening on the audio feed, you already know this, but I'm speaking to Dr. Adia Winfrey, Dr. Dia, as she's affectionately known. And also when she spits her spit game, I've seen the videos. I've seen what you do. I've seen you getting down. Come on now. This was interesting because obviously you did this for a while, and I don't know when the change happened. Just trying to follow your career's path as we wear many hats in this game. This then also kind of shifted to being in a political sphere a little bit. Can you tell me a little bit about when that happened, how that happened? Obviously, you ran for Congress in your area at the time, and what led you to say, I've been doing this kind of work. Now I'm kind of delving into this kind, because it's a little bit of a different animal.
And it's very much the same. It's like the differences are there, but there's a lot of similarities. And it's
Yeah.
interesting because all of this really goes back to my upbringing. I was my family is all from Talladega, Alabama, but
Okay.
my
Oh, so you're back
parents,
home.
when they yeah, I'm back
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when my parents married, they went to the Louisville, Kentucky area. So I was born and raised there, but spent a lot of time in Alabama. But I was raised to be an activist. I
Okay.
grew up in the NAACP, very much in the 90s when it wasn't cool to be an activist out there with a bullhorn. That was me.
Right.
And
Right.
so when I created the H.Y.P.E movement, and now mind you, this is when Obama was in office. And that's the other thing about H.Y.P.E. Initially, it wasn't the rap part that people didn't like. It was the fact I was talking about oppression because apparently racism didn't exist anymore.
Right. What
But
happened? What are you
we
doing?
all,
Right.
I mean,
It's over.
right, like this is crazy. But so when I was working
Right.
with the young people, I was raising them how I was raised, and so I was engaging them, even though they were in high school, engaging them in understanding the power of the vote, the power of going to town hall meetings, understanding your rights,
Yeah.
things like that. And
So
so
important.
I moved back. Yeah, so I moved back to Alabama in 2014. I thought it was temporary. I was coming home to help with my family, with my mom. My father had gotten sick, and so I came home. And when as soon as I touched down, my big cousin was like, "All right, you got to be the modern day Rosa Parks." I'm like, "Cuz, like I'm literally just popping in for a few
Right.
months. Like I'm not coming to stay." And I mean, doggone it, I'm telling you, the words he spoke, I mean, they truly came to pass. And so as my dad was transitioning, people knew what I was doing with hip hop. I would often come to Alabama when I lived in Atlanta, and I would do things with H.Y.P.E. And so once I came back, everybody just had this idea that we should do a block party. My grandma had actually just passed away, and everybody was just kind of talking about that, like, we don't do stuff outside like we used to. And I was like, you know what, we should just plan a block party, especially like once my dad had transitioned in April. And I said, well, what if we just like do a block party around the 4th of July? And so we planned this big block party. We were going to make everything free. We did this huge fireworks show, and it was attended by over 250 people. It was like this, and this is a little bitty town that I live in, like super tiny.
Right.
And it was right in the hood, and it was just amazing. And so after the block party happened, there was this incident of gun violence that happened in the neighborhood where it was a young man that had attended the block party was murdered, and it just really brought the community together, and everybody's just kind of like, we need to do something. And again, I was already engaged, but with that, kind of shifted how people looked at the work I was doing here at home.
Yeah.
So that was in 2015. Fast forward to 2017. When this is Roy Moore, the political folks in my area in Talladega knew what I had done with the block party, and
Right.
so they asked if I would volunteer, with the campaign. So I'm like, sure. And we knocked over 100 doors, me and my children, some other people that I got together, and we actually not only flipped the county where I live, but Doug Jones won the special election.
That's
And
right.
so 6 weeks later, the same people in my area, because it was the 2018 elections were coming up, and they're like,
Right.
you should run for Congress. I'm like,
Well, Dr.
supporters to
Dia, hold on.
donate. And
Wait, say it again. Run
yeah.
it back. I lost you for a second. Run it back. The last sentence you
Oh,
said. Go ahead.
sorry.
No, it's okay. The
Yeah.
thing.
So
Yeah.
I know my reception. Yeah.
That's
So
okay.
my children were just like, go for it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They were small, and they were just like, yeah, like you should do it. And so we were able to get some donors, and I qualified, ran a hell of a race. That was when we started the implementation of hip hop into politics. At that point, I had a primary opponent, and initially, people told me the sound advice, hide my hip hop background. They're like, you
Right.
need to be Dr. Winfrey.
Right.
Nobody needs to know about Dr. D and Hype. Just,
Right.
just be the
Right.
regular, saying doctor. And I
I get it.
tried, I really did. But when I saw that racism and people's negative perceptions of me as a Black woman, a mother, going against a white woman who was a former Miss America, I was getting, even when I was, towing the line and playing the role, I was
Yeah.
still getting the negative feedback. I said, I might as well be myself,
Right.
if I'm
Right.
gonna run. And
Right.
so we were just all out with it. I got a campaign DJ and we were straight hip hop. And while I lost the primary, I gained a lot of support statewide. And the person that was running for governor put me on his campaign, and I was able to learn a lot and again continue to build the network. 2020 election came around. I was not going to run, but a lot of the same people that didn't support me in 2018 were like, we need you. Like, we get it now. You know what I'm saying? They
Right.
really understood the message. And so I ran. As we know, 2020 was crazy between COVID and the social unrest that was going on. What I decided to do, because in Alabama, our issue is not voter registration. We have more than enough registered voters. Our issue is people honestly believe their vote does not count. And I know people say that all the time. We hear that everywhere, but it's the level of that in Alabama is just different. And
Right.
so what we decided to do, instead of making my campaign about me as a camp situations we were all seeing and going through, and showing people how that connected back to an election, how this was a voting issue.
Okay.
And we were very much hip hop. I mean, we were extra hip hop at that point. And I garnered over 104,000 votes, which was the second highest vote count for a person running on a Democratic ticket in my congressional district. I only came second to the person that was on the ballot when Obama ran in 2008. And the other interesting thing about that 104,000, it was a record low Black voter turnout. So imagine if the Black voter turnout had been higher, with numbers like that. So people encouraged us, like, you know what, we like what y'all did, like bringing the message with hip hop, giving us basic civic engagement. You guys should keep it going. And so that's why we started Transform Alabama like 3 weeks after the campaign ended.
Got it. So, okay. So, no energy could be, what's the law of physics? You can't destroy energy. You can only transform it into something else. Right. So that was like sort of the pivot. The next stage of the political engagement was Transform Alabama. Yeah.
Yep. And so we started it. We did not know what we were doing. We thought we were going to be an LLC. We didn't know. We thought we were going to be LLC. And but then luckily one of my mentors brought me into a brand new civic engagement table. It just formed here in Alabama, literally at the same time Transform Alabama was forming.
Yeah.
And I came into the civic engagement table, Alabama Forward, at the beginning of 2021, and it has been a complete blessing. We have made so many impacts within the state of Alabama. One thing that I got to mention is I was one of the original plaintiffs on the Allen versus Milligan case, which is that Supreme Court case that led to the new map in Alabama, which subsequently changed the redistricting map in Louisiana and Georgia, North Carolina, on and on and on.
Yeah.
And that came from the work that we have done with Transform Alabama. We have, just really, really been intentional about using hip hop as a tool of political education, and not just having to be about going to the polls, because I mean, it goes so much deeper than that, but really engaging people holistically in our political system.
What are some of the ways, if you were a political consultant, right? Or, as I try to do and talk to other places and say, here's what we did that worked in that incorporation of hip hop. Maybe here's some things that didn't, that we thought would take off, but didn't. What's the advice you give to other? Because I would imagine you would advocate for this approach in districts all across the country, that we know how powerful hip hop could be. We know that when you don't turn your back on hip hop, I think of Dupre Kelly from Lords of the Underground in City Council in Newark, who lost and then won, but never turned his back on his hip hopness. That's Do It All. You know what I mean? Like, everyone knows that's Do It All. So that was a place that he, maybe heeded that pivot you made. What advice would you give, or what? It's like almost like emphatic message would you give to political operations in other areas? Like, you need to do this. This is what works. What would you? What kind of advice
when
do you
you
give?
show, my advice would be to make yourself hip hop friendly, because the people that you need to vote are going to align with hip hop. And at this point, like I remind people, it's not that hip hop is about the youth vote. We just celebrated Hip Hop 50. I mean, hip hop, shout out to Minister Server, who calls himself the dopest hip hop grandpop. You know what I'm saying? We
That's
got
my
grown
guy.
folks that are
Yep.
definitely of the culture. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
our
like,
knees were hurting.
you know,
That's all I know is our knees were hurting after watching the celebrations, but we were watching them.
but we was watching them, you know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
like, if the people that we want to engage,
Yeah.
you can get them by making yourself available to hip hop. And it's not just about having a rapper come up or playing a rap song or doing something corny. There are so many ways that you can make yourself hip hop friendly, even just how you create your literature, how graphics that you may use, certain fonts that you may use, where you hang up posters. I mean, it's the subtle things, and really at the end of the day, anybody that has been involved with politics knows that you have to have volunteers, you have to have boots on the ground. And oftentimes, your budget, your pockets may be a little light, you're not able to pay everybody, but sometimes you bring that hip hop in and you can make people feel good about being
Right.
gay atmosphere, or do something where you can
Yep, I lost you again, Dr. Dia. All right. I see we get you back in a second. The internet could be a finicky thing. This is live. We are live. I'll now see you again. I lost you for a minute there. Little connectivity problem. You can hear me? All right. We'll let it recharge. We have to get the connection right again. We're talking to Dr. Adia Winfrey, aka Dr. Dia, Dr. D, who ran for Congress and used that experience to create an organization called Transform Alabama, which is now actively involved in engaging the communities, especially the youth, through the use of hip hop in order to help them expand voter, registration, but not just registering to vote, understanding how the political system works, getting a civic education, being involved with the process, going to the town halls, learning more about, what the actual, mechanisms are, not just going voting and pulling a lever. And we wanted to get into a little bit of that, but we had a connection issue with Dr. Diaz. So we'll see if she can connect back in. In the meantime, you're checking out Hip Hop Can Save America with the man Manny Faces. We are live every Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And of course, you could check everyone. You could check all the replays on YouTube. You can go to hiphopcansaveamerica.com/watch and make sure you're giving a thumbs up and you're sharing this video right now. Dr. Dia, you're back with us. I know the connection has been a bit wild, but we're here. Okay, let's see if that works. I can see you and hear you a little bit, I think.
Okay. Yep, I think I'm back.
All right, we're getting this is live, man. It's live. It's hip hop. I was telling my DJ friend the other day. Shouts to DJ Cozy, my man Sean Austin out here in Atlanta. He was fixing the speaker wasn't working right before the show, and he's like down there. Like I said, every DJ's an engineer. They never give us credit. We're engineers. We have to figure these things out. We're critical thinkers and problem solvers just by the nature of nothing ever works right when it's supposed to. So that's hip hop. So you were getting, while I got you back, you were giving me a little bit of rundown how you were getting involved. How the Transform Alabama is not just getting people to register to vote, but also. Not just register to vote, but also have sort of civic understanding and engagement, and the town halls and all politics are local, that kind of aspect, and getting that message out through hip hop. How important is that, especially now? Because I think what you talked about is the idea that people thinking their vote doesn't count is actually becoming more of a issue these days than less in those communities. Yeah. Did you catch that, Dr. Dia? I see you, but I don't know how strong a connection we are right now. You hear me? Well, okay. It's a little bit tight. I'm not sure. I can see you, but you're fuzzy. You know how the internet can be. Yeah. We're trying to work through it, y'all. Bear with us. It's a good conversation. It's important work. Let's see. Dr. D, if anything, maybe jump out and jump back in and see if that helps. You know? Maybe you could jump out and jump back in. I kind of see you here and hear you now.
Nice. Can you hear me? I think it's the weather, because the weather was like a
Yeah.
little choppy, but it looks like the connection is back good.
All right.
But
I hear you now.
Okay, cool.
All right, we'll try to get it. We'll try to get it in. I won't keep you too much longer. And if it keeps failing, we'll just do it again. We can hang out again.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to know. You mentioned something. There's one point I wanted to get at was you mentioned that Transform Alabama is much more than just voter registration and going to the polls. It's about civic understanding and getting, understanding how the mechanisms work and knowing that your vote can indeed count. And I fear, I'm just looking at the political landscape as it's shaping up, that thing that you talked about where people thinking their vote doesn't matter is actually going to be more of an issue coming this election year. How important is it that the work you're doing, defeats that feeling of hopelessness?
Right. And that's the thing. And really showing people how their vote does matter. And part of that is the basics of civic engagement, the basics of understanding how our political system works. Because a lot of the misunderstanding comes because people don't know what different elected officials are supposed to be doing. They don't understand who is doing what. So we definitely start at the basics. We do a program that is called HEAT, which is Heal, Elevate, and Transform, where we do basic civic engagement. The other thing with Transform Alabama is that we amplify the role that Black Alabamians have played in the voting rights movement for 3 centuries. And oftentimes, the message of how Black Alabamians actually shifted what happened in this country gets lost because the people who are more famous, their names get elevated. So, of course, you think of Dr. Martin Luther King for good reason, but the victories that he had were in Alabama, organized by Alabama organizers who have been doing the work before he was even born. He, was able to come along and help be a great mobilizer, help bring the cameras, help raise money to get the work done. But the manpower, the woman power came from Alabama organizers.
The foundational stuff.
There you go. And just even the execution. And so, we definitely talk about that and really help people here understand that these are our foreparents. And so Freedom Party how that ties into the civic engagement that we engage in now.
Yeah. Before we lose you for good, because the weather's apparently knocking us out of the box, tell me about what you're doing for Selma. And if it doesn't work out, we'll get you. I'll do a little thing, and I want to share this information. I think what you're working together with, Selma this year, the panels discussions you have going on. Let me know what's going on in those regards.
You went out on one part. You said in what regards? I'm sorry.
I know you're doing some things with Selma, with the historical. You're doing some panels, discussions, and you're doing a whole movement about Selma this year. Let me know what's going on there, so we can share that information out.
Yeah, perfect. So this year for the Selma Bridge Crossing Jubilee, that's the annual commemoration of Bloody Sunday and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. We are doing our third annual intergenerational free event, and we are going to be holding a press conference on this Sunday. We'll hold a press conference for the Hip Hop Summit this Sunday in Montgomery, where we'll be announcing who some of our special guests are. I can announce that Sly and the Family Stone are not only participating in the events on March 2nd on stage, but also some private workshops and things with some young people. So we're definitely excited. You can learn more at selmajubilee.com as well as at Transform Alabama.
Got it. Wow, we got the websites in right before I lost the connection again. Very, very good. Selma Jubilee and Transform Alabama be the sites that we can send. We'll send that information out. We'll spread that information as well. Whew, we got through it. I think how they say, that's the devil trying to stop us from getting this information out. So if you hear me, Dr. Dia, I'm going to continue to spread this information. We'll get you back when we have a better connection. I think you might be fading in and out, but if you can hear me, I want to thank you for your time. We'll get that information out. We'll make sure I spread those links as well. If I could even be there, you're just down the road. Maybe I'll be able to come hang out and come to the press conference or be in conversation with you again in person as these things develop over time. So hopefully you hear me. And what we'll do is we'll make sure we get that information out and get you back, and you'll tell us all about the ongoing work that's happening in there. So I'm gonna let you go, and we'll close it out with that once more. Again, thank you to Dr. Adia Winfrey, who is doing so much remarkable work that she broke the internet. There's too much going on. She's doing too much great stuff. So once again, make sure you're following up if you're in the Alabama area. Transform Alabama is the political activist movement that she's headed, and it's obviously doing great work. The Selma Jubilee is going to be the ongoing celebration, memorializing Bloody Sunday, the Selma Bridge Crossing historical event. But then again, how can we transform? How can we move forward? How can we use hip hop to make sure that these messages get out politically, socially, and emotionally? And this is something that Dr. Dia has helped with along the lines in all of her endeavors. So let's see if I got you. There you are. So I was just recapping. Wait, hold on. There you are. I was just recapping what we talked about. The Connection's Wild, Selma Jubilee, Transform Alabama. That's where we're going to find all the information. There's a press conference coming up. I'm just down the road. Maybe I'll take a road trip and come hang out. We can see what happens.
Come hang out. Yes.
It could work. It could work. I'll definitely consider that. While I got you, we got a good signal. Real quick, tell anybody what they need to know. How to find you, how to find the information, and let's get people involved.
Look, y'all can follow me at Dr. Dia on pretty much everything. We're also at Transform Alabama on IG as well as on Facebook. Go to transformalabama.org. You can get info about the events that we do. You can donate. You can get merch. You can also go to selmajubilee.com. That's where you're going to find out everything going on in Selma. It's a 4-day celebration commemoration from February 29th up until March the 3rd. A lot of the events are free. A few things you pay for, but it's just a good vibe. And with the Hip Hop Summit, y'all, I can definitely say that Minister Server is going to be there. As I mentioned, Sly and the Family Stone is participating, and a lot of other good folks. Paradise Gray is going to touch the stage.
Nice.
So I'm just excited and look forward to everybody coming out to Selma.
Very dope. Like I said, I'm down the road. I hope to make it myself, but I'll spread the information and let people know. And then we'll get you back and you tell us about all the ongoing things you're doing. Sound good? All right, my friend. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you and all your work. We'll talk again soon. All right. Dr. Dia, you can hear me? All right. Thank you so much. I want you to be able to hear me say goodbye. It's live, y'all. It's live internet. That's how we do.
Yep, I can hear you now.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. I just wanted you to hear me say goodbye, and thank you so much. We'll talk again soon.
All right. Peace, y'all.
All right, my friend. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you. All right, right on. Listen, once again, one time for Dr. Dia. Came through and told us, fought through all of the technical difficulties trying to make sure that we stay connected and let you know what's going on. This is just a wonderful example of an assortment of works that she does, whether it's the H.Y.P.E movement, the healing young people through empowerment. It's a curriculum. If you're a teacher, you might want to know about that. The hip-hop empowerment model that she uses. Again, across the board, this is something that's universal. We can help kids of all ages, of all demographics, of all stripes and sizes and ways of life through hip-hop. She has the receipts. She's seen it work. She's put it together. She makes it easy for you to figure out some more. Her political aims and experiences, becoming a candidate for U.S. Congress in Alabama, where, you know, the black vote is sometimes thought to not be effective, but she came pretty damn close. And I think it's pretty important to know that, you know, if those votes previously had not been thought to make a difference, that her numbers might say otherwise. Women lie, men lie, numbers don't. So Transform Atlanta, I keep saying Atlanta, I'm sorry, but you know, I'm here now, so it's like in my head. Transform Alabama is now the organization that's taking that next reign, that next initiative to not only bring people to the polls or getting them registered to vote, but let them know what all this means. All politics are local. What going to local, off presidential year elections are about. The mechanisms of government, how you could get involved and run for something yourself. She said, I didn't necessarily want to run, but they said I'd be an important voice, and she was and is. So check out those things. The Selma Jubilee happening this year, and the Hip-Hop Summit, the Hip-Hop Political Summit in Selma, I think it's in Selma, that will be a part of that. Can all be found at selmajubilee.com, and of course, Transform Alabama as well. So I'm not going to put all the things into the text. You know how to use the internet. You'll be able to find it. It's too much for me. I can't do everything. I was fighting with technology all night, but I wouldn't let it go because this is the world's most enlightening hip-hop live stream. We're bringing you all the information about hip-hop being used to uplift humanity and improve society. We bring you things that aren't bull crap. I'm not going to curse. Hip-hop news that isn't about dumb shit. You can support this show if you say, Manny, holy cow. Who says holy cow anymore? No one says that. It's a Yankees thing, holy cow, whatever. No one actually says that. But if you say, Manny, holy cow, how can we support you, man? You're doing such great work. Well, you know what? You can put a couple dollars, and thanks again to our amazing, we do have smart people. People are doing it, so you could do it too. It's all good. Shouts to our wonderful supporters, Silent Night, my man, my mellow, Mark E, a.k.a. Mr. Pocket, Jesse G, Toast on the bass, boom, 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 Nicholas S, Brianna C, Steffi, I love Steffi, Kath, Morgan, Andrew Wang, the mighty Andrew Wang, great music educator up in Yonkers, where the people are also fresh, even though it's up in the Bronx, but they're close enough. They're still fresh. Raphael Travis, Dr. Raphael Travis, The Healing Power of Hip-Hop is his seminal book, and he's an amazing dude that does a lot of great work helping young people and helping older people through hip-hop therapy and that kind of therapeutic use of hip-hop. And our newest supporters, Patrick and Chris J. Patrick is from an organization called Beats, Rhymes Over Beats. and it's a hip hop theater company based in New York. And you might have seen an interview I did with Master Ace, the great Master Ace, who has a play in production, in development with Rhymes Over Beats. So shouts to Patrick, who's a great supporter. I'm going to have him on the show and talk about the intersection of hip hop and theater. Oh, so many things. So listen, if you've rocked with me all tonight, I hope you've, hey, what up, Randall? Randy Swigum is in the house. Future guest. Can we say that? Ooh, look at that. I'm giving away, future guests up here. We do have some great guests lined up. I would have had Dr. Tony Keith up on the show tonight, but we had some complications, but we got more time with Dr. Adia Winfrey. Dr. Adia, if you're just tuning in late, you missed a great conversation. Youth empowerment, activism, politics, psychology, all with Dr. Adia. Go flip it on the rewind and check it out. Give your boy a thumbs up. Share this video. We'll be back next Monday. I got 2 guests lined up. 2 guests next week, right? I think so. And we'll bring you more hip-hop news that isn't about dumb-ish. We'll bring you more fantastic events and conferences that are coming up. Sign up for the free newsletter, mannyfaces.substack.com. This is a whole production that's going on here. We didn't get a lot of y'all live tonight, but we're going to get you on the live stream. And we're going to rip this beautiful interview with Dr. Dia that the devil tried to stop us from having because of all the technical difficulties on the connectivity. But no, we kept going because we know it's important, especially in this an election year. We want people to be educated and empowered and feel like their vote matters. Doesn't matter what vote it is. You can vote however you want, but really be involved in the process so you understand all the ramifications, all the consequences that your vote might have. So that being said, it's your man, Manny Faces. We did good tonight. It went long. I appreciate you for watching. I appreciate you for sharing, liking, spreading the word. We'll be back here next Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Peace and love to you and yours.